Good morning and welcome to DDM Morning Show. I am Tosh Kurafel, joined by DDM analyst Ibrahim Omarwase. Ibrahim, you're welcome to DDM Morning Show today.
Thank you, Mr. Tuchuku Raphael. Good morning, everyone.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
All right. Now we are reaching you live on this beautiful Tuesday, our viewers. Today is 29th of July, 2025. On this edition of DDM Morning Show, here are some stories making the headlines. The Social Democratic Party expels former governor of Kaduna State, Nasser El-Rufai, and also bans him for 30 years over impersonation, forgery, and manipulation. And from there, we move to the power play on marginalization. Ohanaeze Youth Council stands hard against exclusive elevation of Sultan of Sokoto and Oni of Ife. And finally, we shall deal with the southeastern fires in the United States, a saga that won't go away despite Donald Trump's distractions. So now stay tuned as we dive deeper into these issues. The first story, the Social Democratic Party, the SDP, has expelled former Kaduna State Governor Malam Nasser El-Rufai and imposed a sweeping 30-year ban, citing allegations of impersonation, forgery, and manipulation in relation to his purported membership of the party. This decision was made public in an official statement issued by the party's National Publicity Secretary, Araba Rufus Aniba, on July 28, yesterday, 2025, after the National Working Committee concluded weeks of internal investigations. Now, let's see what led to the expulsion. The SDP leadership accused El-Rufai of five crimes or offenses. Number one, parading himself as a member of, the SDP, despite never registering officially at his ward, which is required under the SDP constitution. And secondly, he was being accused of forging membership documents and declaring himself member number one in the SDP register for his own ward in Kaduna North local government area. And third, was being accused of using the party's name, logo, and structures in unauthorized political transactions, particularly in efforts to draw the SDP into a coalition without approval from party organs. He's also being accused of manipulating internal processes and allegedly sowing discord and division within the SDP ranks, using inducements, misinformation, and back-channel dealings. And finally, he's been accused of publicly declaring for the African Democratic Congress, the ADC, while simultaneously claiming SDP membership and trying to force a coalition. The SDP has formally notified the Independent National Electoral Commission of this and warned the public that El-Rufai is unauthorized to speak or act on his behalf. Now, this is the context of the case. So, why is this happening? El-Rufai is a public figure. He's a public figure in Nigeria, and it is a sad situation that he is witnessing. Now he wants to join the coalition, and at the same time, he is in his party. But he is not the only person who is nursing or who is in this condition. Peter Obi is in the Labour Party, but he is eyeing the coalition also. He has made it very clear, as well as other politicians. Amechi Atiku has finally decided to leave the PDP, so his own is a clear situation. But let's have your thoughts on this, Mr. Ibrahim.
Right. Good morning, Mr. Tuchuku Raphael. And for context, I would like to let our audience know that Nasru El-Rufai has been in the political space for over 30 years. I think since the First Republic in 1999, he was a minister of the Federal Republic under the PDP led administration of Olusegun Obasanjo. And he was also previously a member of the ruling All Progressive Congress, APC, and served as Kaduna State Governor under the APC. He defected recently to join the SDP, and we saw him a couple of times with the national chairman of the uh, SDP. I mean, not ADC. Then subsequently, we heard about the coalition and political forces across the country who are trying to rescue the country from the current malady. Although I'm not trying to defend Nasrul Rufai, is in a better position to defend himself. What I'm trying to say is the fact that um, SDP are just not clear on what they mean about Nasrul Rufai forging their document. We saw him with the national chairman where they accepted him officially as a member of the SDP, national chairman of the SDP. So coming now to tell us that Nasrul El-Rufai has forged a document of the party is sounding inaccurate to me. And honestly speaking, I think he's a statesman who understands politics and understands its implication pretty well. It would be catastrophic, disastrous for him to do such a reckless act. So I don't believe what they say. I just believe it is just the normal play, political play. The ADC, since its insertion as the party adopted by the coalition, it's giving the ruling party all the GBs. And they are trying to maybe at least give it a very, very strong friction. And they hold the government. And, the president has a reputation of doing everything to secure the loyalty of the people from across the board. Now the coalition is in the stage of the political heavyweights among themselves deciding to forge a common front, not the political parties. So you find a person that you see, I'm a member of the ADC and I'm working with the coalition that adopted ADC. So he is clearly he was a member of the SCP and working with the coalition. And from what the clear things that appear to us is that the APC are working currently with the SDP to malign his reputation, maybe to give him a very strong rule so that at least he'll get him out of their traits, I would say.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Great Imo Jonathan, a political analyst, strategist, writer, and social commentator, is here with us. Please, let's have your take on this matter.
All right. Can you hear?
I can hear you. We can hear you. Speak on.
Thank you very much. What has happened is new. El-Rufai, the profile political figure in Nigeria, and also known for the pitch. El-Rufai is very critical. El-Rufai is bold. Choose the thing to do, because it will be hard. I know he got that. Yeah, level they didn't see him for this reason, but not for a profile. You that's very competent in pulling things together. From so the Democrats whose made cannot be ignored. Sector, business, politics, all that. Here's actional challenges, but we should. And you can also see that, like said, when El-Rufai came into SDP, there were undercurrents that were actually not identified. When in This is peace, the sin, contesting the election in APC. As it was said in secret as the vehicle would to run for 2020 election. But eventually, it was still like El-Rufai who gave another lead APC to back candidate of President Bola Ahmed in Kennedy. Therefore, the rumored plan the President Tinubu at that time to win to SDP became a project. Then go to the presidential candidate of SDP was I'm going to go somewhere there's a bit sensitive. Us from the southwest. That since I've avoided the changing the ruling party, the president hardly his office. And then furthermore, to find out came in. Didn't like anything very important. There was a thought they they were going to, some people are going to, but not talk that El-Rufai alone is not the one here being attacked. The party now to have been suspended, party checking in the party. But look at the characters that pushing. Man who wrote the press release, the word is from the southwest. It is two-way Pampa from the southwest, Arabambi from the south. But those south, there is a bit of ethnic push from these different political parties to help them maintain the support of president. In some cases, some people are below, like you see the likes of Fayose leaders a PDP open statement about their support for Tinubu. And some of the hinges on their ethnicity. Hence, if you read the press, the man who wrote from the Southwest, I rather be in Labour and the Southwest, a papa who's troubling a Labour. There is the ethnic cabal within different political fighting different forces who might become the challenge to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So it's that could. He's not afraid ever to tap or to eat so many, and definitely this one will not be starting the request with this country. You place said he was not a member. How can you assess somebody who will ever hello?
Yes, we can hear you, but your video is muted.
Somebody did. That's what I was asking. How did you do it? So you're hearing me. So I would say on the press release like SDP. But like he was never a member. Yet say you expelled him. You cannot expel somebody who is your member. And the idea that you're expelling him for 30 years and is the deterrent cost. The question will be, let it still be yes, sometimes serious are meant on serious. Serious issues are meant to look on serious. For that, fire is not the only one that is in this power with people who purportedly expel. the man who is still in chairmanship for to have been suspended was suspended because of his relationship, obviously, with the airline. So the one we know SDP as it stands right now, it's really one of the choice cities in Nigeria. But like what we see in other political parties, it is obvious that the ruling party is consistently trying to hamper opposition from rising. Right now, what I think is that the so-called coalition, many of those who spend in their political parties, creating an opposite first. The ruling party, so even for still in AP, maybe this party is still in AP, the other person is still in AP. Call it vision. You don't know from which camp they will come. Their party, they will try to call other and pick to INEC. There are about two other groups which can raise certain political group. Meaning that they are to stifle opposition, the real challenge. And the ruling party, the word of El-Rufai is a technocrat, whether you like him or not. El-Rufai is the man who is able to think, and he's not ahead of some type of who is fatalistic. He's not afraid to come. He once said something on national television. He said, going by family, he used to die before the age he would end. And that he still is an addition. Who to if dies it, yet he has some intellectual capacity to be able to network. You can't commonize him. They will PC to roll. El-Rufai in 2023 to help Tinubu to become the president. But there is also some undercurrents PC leading to when President Bola Tinubu will finish his presidency. There are also elements of position. Somebody, El-Rufai once accused New Badu, the NSA, of also be interested and petitioning work with some South. Is of that same child that Shetima could so consider that beyond the politics that
Where political parties are like pure water factories, banishing one person from one party there is no need to. I know some other political parties that have literally no value. For example, was not a major Nigeria until P20. So everybody will choose any other going, and the political party today that everybody will go that it do not make a brand, a push. So for me, it's not about that the ban is already identified with the having identified with the coalition. I think it is a joint ADC. What we are all doing is that in the party that they also represent the coalition, like the obedient movement. Someone once said that the obedient movement is a political party. In PDP, there are obedience in PC, there are obedience in Labour Party, there are obedience in politicians, obedience in the North. This is legal coalition is looking like a form of kind of obedient movement in its own order, where in different political parties they represent them interest. That when the party was trying to everybody felt a bit because of the character made Labour Party take the BDA movement member who do not belong to any political party, and most of them never really work. And that is a bit of what is being replicated in the coalition. Some people are inside direct, some are working from side. In fact, as I thought that leader will be declared for the, but who are mostly interested and who may venture. 24 hours is a long time in politics, but a form of attack on his brand. But is high psychological warfare. For example, part of the game, the ruling party, how to stifle the opposition and how to intimidate the opposition. Look at what happened in Edo. The governor said to a whole presidential candidate of a major political, don't come here, start calling me. A man who was still writing what the law party to a governor and not being used as a tool of intimidation. So the problem is that the ruling party is not running on literal account of the achievement, so they are depending on every other measures, including the mongering, intimidation, psychological. For example, they are to make the Nigerians believe. Many Nigerians have heard them say that this season, and because of some feel there's no need to push, there's no need to. The psychological warfare, it is part of the instrument and tools they are using. Doing now to rubbish El-Rufai is part of the strategy to blackmail, to rubbish some brand. It's part of the game. The other situation is what they have done to that. Number one, if you have a lot of achievement upon which you run, the ruling party will be talking about what they have done that Nigerians should clap for. And mind you, APC, like the position, is not just 2 years ago. This is 10 years. But Latini was the leader of the party as the president. Most of the under Buhari. Some of them were House of Rep members that work to bring Tinubu to. It's the same APC, but they have been trying to generate Tinubu's government harassment. And yet you were the leader. In 2 years, for example, let me give you an example. I don't know if you have followed Ghana politics. John Mahama is less than 7 government. How much is government? $1 to it was $1 to 70. It's $1 to 10 Ghana cedis. Their currency has improved. Their purchasing power parity have improved. Their mining industry improved. Security in Ghana. In Ghana, I'm talking to in the language that IMF would not accepted before, because Ghana now is well. Ghana is being vetted by international. You don't need forever to see by that the lives are improved. You also use another example. They don't way crazy. Today in Burkina Faso, it's also about 2 years. The guy made the GDP of the country $1 billion, $24 billion. He improved the security situation of Burkina Faso. Recovery territories that were by terrorists. Even the coming hardcore and security of the industrialization is going. Today, cost of road construction was reduced by 160%. The is their take home was over 50%. Why the salaries of servants, you can see that the society was mobilized, united. Today we have a ruling party. The base of the president's Lagos is putting ethnic baiting, disunity, and all those things that are uniting Nigeria. They have said it is the stand they have taken and on which they can. So the fear is real, and I can bet you as a reading. And
All right, Mr. Great.
Than all of this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Great, for your wonderful contribution. May I remind everyone, if you want to offer your own comments or commentary, do ensure you raise a hand. If I see you, I will give you the floor, make your contribution. We have been talking about the banishment from the SDP of the former governor of Kaduna State, El-Rufai. He was accused, or he's been accused of manipulation, forgery, and impersonation. But we shall see how it will go from time to time. Now let's go to our next story. The Ohanaeze Youth Council, representing the interests of the Igbo nation and the allied marginalized indigenous groups, has officially condemned the Nigerian Senate bill proposing to make only the Sultan of Sokoto and the Oni of Ife permanent co-chairman of the National Council of Traditional Rulers. The communique signed by the OYC National President, Comrade Iboyaka Iboyaka, following a National Working Committee meeting in Enugu yesterday, decries the bill as ethnically divisive and contrary to Nigeria's federal character principle. The OYC notes that the bill unjustly excludes key Igbo traditional rulers, including revered figures such as the Obi of Onitsha and the Ezenri, alongside other indigenous monarchs from various ethnic groups like the Hausa, Kanuri, Tiv, Ijo, Urobo, Ibibio, and others. The council calls the legislation an attempt to impose ethnic supremacy favoring only Yoruba and Fulani interests, thereby undermining the centuries-old cultural and political diversity of Nigeria. Now, Comrade Iboyaka emphasized that Nigeria is not a binary federation dominated only by Yoruba and Fulani identities. The exclusion of the Igbo and other ethnic traditional rulers from a national council threatens the nation's unity and disrespects the contributions and legacies of other indigenous entities. The council demands a complete withdrawal or substantial redrafting of the bill to reflect inclusivity and historical accuracies and federal character principles. They further urge equitable religious representation if the council's code extends to religious leadership. Now, this is a situation that is not new in Nigeria. The Southeast has, from time immemorial, from the inception of Nigeria as a country, as a state, talking about marginalization, talking about political exclusion, political inequity and inequality. Now, this is something that has continued to be a bane of Nigeria, this unity. Let's have your take on this, Mr. Great.
What a young Igbo person, I asked that there is a group of young and people now. They do a lot of things from time to time, which I really don't like. There is the Ohanaeze, but sometimes they confuse some of people from the Igbo tribe that is speaking. The Ohanaeze to line this activity because it's people. There are a lot of organizations bearing accusations that are confusing. Those are the marketing the people. I hate to say this in public, but I really hate it. There is a main and there is a body that is there. A council of tradition southeast, but a lot of these young people just looking for visibility. They jump up on every issue to speak, even the ones they should not miss. Something I feel is demeaning for Igbo people. Going forward, I believe if they had the appropriate channel would have been to the Southeast Senate caucus. The Southeast Senate caucus representing Igbo people, and the Igbo people are going to read Igbo Delta, Igbo people, even us, the Igbo political leaders in Benue, in Cross River, in rivers. There are Igbo communities in those places. So some of the group in the south, as long as the Igbo, and I believe that from what everybody has said, I've read other press releases from our community, from the Jaw and the rest of them. But people should pay attention. This is part of a broader political to distract what is going on in the society, one, to what is this is a it is a calculated ethnic manipulation by the destabilization tool. So you want to look like, oh, Europe and Chinese, then you look around the way Muslim. Those are subterranean projects by the people think to say, oh, they don't like it, that it is lead them. I know in the south, the only he's not the only paramount in the south. But what make you look like, oh, the other ethnicities does not believe that they start to lead them. So the Igbo does not believe Fulani should be there. To create that manipulation, why people are concerned, then they are today. Nigeria is borrowing 21 billion. No kind of items we hearing $100 million youth empowerment. What particular empowerment? Who will be empowered? I am from the south. Is there we have so many people have clapped. There were 3 billion for railway. Some people even allocated. There's no 3 billion anywhere. And where 3 billion are come? Question to ask, where kilometer is going to start and where going to stop, so that we can ask questions. How many kilometers rail is going to build that will cost $1 billion? We know the international standard gauge. If it's a standard gauge, we know that it's for $3 billion. Get down to how many kilometers you want to do. Who did you sign with? First coming, you want to borrow the $1 billion, you have not borrowed it, you have not allocated it, you have promised the people of $3 billion. The $3 billion. Irrespective of what have been borrowed after removing things, and then you have increased tax on everything. Then the money you cannot account for is not contract have no head. Every day propaganda, they are not on ground. Even the so-called for which Italy, Nigeria has almost been defrauded of or that. You went to commission a section that they say 3 kilometers. When they discover it, you say that you are doing something. Yes, there was bidding. There was no competitive bidding, which is an action to such a lump sum of money from Nigerian past into a we are members of the board, and you sought trillions, and they are borrowing money and we are manipulating people. Nigeria needs to being head of the whatever royal can't stand. They know, but there is a ethnic, multi-religious society, and no present any entity that have a doubt about it. It doesn't matter what you legislate, you cannot tell people who is their leader, you cannot tell you how to These are tools of manipulation. To keep people there's to agree on the film why they are running the country aground. A minister is going on convoy with a convoy of more than 20 cars worth over 12 billion in a state. A road transport company that is not working. We are here while we are here. Undercurrent land grabbing is going on in the FCT. Students from their public schools were closed down for 3 months. Public health institutions shut down for those 3 months. Somebody spent 38 billion and invested when the schools were. With some people who went there, including Shoda, have said that you couldn't have spent 3 billion. How did you manage 69 billion? So the question is, if the Sultan of Sokoto proposed as the representative of the royal leadership in Nigeria, is ethnic manipulation by the ruling party, create confusion, and people engage in discussing, analysis and things that are not substantive and particularly important to move Nigeria forward. They will look at national attention, they will look at things, take attention away from the evil hand. That sometimes I wonder some young people, there is our very dark man who has been engaged in social media, brings back with artists, and there are people, journalists are even making it a thing. They want to fight on the street. This one want to blow you. This one release music. When the issues that are about the future of their children and that of everybody is that. Why did do those millions of concentrate focus on $20 billion
Right, Mr. Great. Mr. Great, I think I have gotten your point here. Your line has been worsening, but thank you very much for your contribution. Let's move over to our last topic for this show, which is overseas. Donald Trump's headache with the Epstein files stems from his long-standing friendship with Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted sex offender who died in prison in 2019. The Epstein files refer to the hundreds of gigabytes of information seized by the FBI from Epstein's residence, including a client list that many believe could implicate Donald Trump and other high-profile individuals in Epstein's sex trafficking ring. Now, this controversy surrounding Donald Trump's relationship with Epstein has been simmering for years, but it gained renewed attention recently. In February 2025, when the Department of Justice released a small collection of files from the Epstein investigation. However, the Department of Justice announced that it would not release any more files, citing concerns about protecting the identities of victims and witnesses. Despite Trump's attempts to downplay the significance of these files, the story refuses to go away. In fact, it has become a major headache for Donald Trump, with many of his own supporters calling for the release of these files. Now, the Wall Street Journal recently reported that the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, alerted Trump that his name appears in the files, which has only added fuel to the fire. But people are saying even if Trump's name is in the files, that does not indicate that Trump is guilty of any crime. So this is something that is trending abroad. And we are talking about number one person in a country. Trump has been convicted already, of several offenses. And this is another headache that he has been grappling with. So if he's saying that there is nothing implicating in that file, why has he been unable or unwilling to reveal the file to the public? Now, this is a very great question. Let's have your thoughts on this.
All right. Thank you for you say that the network is very poor. So some of we are highlighting, wish our audience to a very good grasp all of it. Coming to Jeffrey, there have been some investigation by some independent Epstein teacher, high-profile teacher, not a high-profile business, but eventually ended up owning mansions in Manhattan and different parts of the world, lands, and becoming the meeting point between us all over the world. So, as it is notable in history, such characters present something only as somebody has made. I listened to a program where the judging freedom with Judge Litano, he was accused of being a Mossad agent, also working for the. But when it was rumored that he had been fined in prison, that there was no substitute that. So meant that being the IHC were in close one another and using to act whatever it was, actually to have a hold on characters who eventually, as leaders in countries, corporations, and everything, go to use those things to blackmail them. And forget, President Trump was one of those during his campaign that was very. But the Donald Trump is not a consistent. It's possible, but he was being braggadocious and using that to convince the American voters to support him because he thought it was one of the things he wants to do. He talked about starting wars, but he was involved in the two-day war between Israel and Iran, which he instigated because he came on in this negotiation. And on the day Israel, preemptively attacked Iran, maybe he thought that Iran had been decapitated. He was loud in his own show, shouting, and you want, but as it began to put this with he began to dabble around. Trump's an inconsistent character. That's where you can see the back literally and put. Putin has been in power for 25 years. Putin is a lawyer, multilingual. Putin is also a KG. He has been with people like that. Each time they made call between two of them, Trump comes and says, "Oh, yeah, I'll show you a document where we signed this." Using all this is to explain to you that it's an inconsistent character. So use for various side, it looked like he was interested in it. Really. Now, having been accused of having something to do with his floundering, and also if you notice, Trump has become subservient to the Zionist interests, allowing the genocide that is going on in Gaza, pumping in more money to the Israeli lobby group, which has done American policies that have been accused of bribing and feeding hostage American senators and leaders. How Trump has succumbed to that organization tells you more. The Epstein has become a tool for blackmail, for intimidation, and twist of American political leaders. And legally, the Epstein was funded, obviously, and then work. Okay.
All right.
I don't know if I may.
Mr. Great, you're really great in your contribution. Mr. Kevin, you can take over.
Yeah, let me come in a bit. Ibrahim, pardon me. Let me come in a bit before he comes in. I've been keenly watching the events of the past 1 or 2 months, and it seems as if the Donald Trump himself is hiding something. First, before your campaign, you said they should release the Epstein files. Epstein was a very, very close friend of him. But it seems now that he has become president, he doesn't want to release the files. He just suddenly went to the public and said there is nothing in the Epstein files and that it will not be released. So that has even caused an outcry, not just with the Democrats, but has now caused an outcry in his own main base, which is the MAGA movement itself. There's this increasing outcry that it should be released, the Epstein files, because the man Epstein himself is a convicted pedophile and was his close friend for about 15 years or thereabout. Okay, and now what seems to be happening is that Trump seems to want to be trying to deflect the Americans' attention from the Epstein files to other issues. He is now accusing Obama of lying about the Russian interference in the 2016 election. He has even gone ahead to release the Martin Luther King files. Okay, and in fact, the day released the Martin Luther King file, Martin Luther King's grandchild now posted on social media that after releasing the files, and I said, now release the Epstein file. Okay, now the American public want to know because Epstein was convicted of being a child rapist, pedophile. Okay, now he was a very close friend of Donald Trump, which Donald Trump has been denying since now. And now the public wants to know inside that file if Donald Trump himself was also party to what he was doing as a whole. And it seems to be deflecting attention from it. So people are now more inquisitive and wondering what is in those files. Be sure that this man himself is not. They want to be sure that this man himself is not a. They want to be sure that it was also like Epstein himself, whether he was a child rapist or not. Recently, I think before yesterday or so, the House Speaker tried to quickly went on a recess till the ending of September or so, to try and dodge this release of Epstein files. The whole issue seems to not be going away, no matter what the Republicans try to do to divert the American public attention from it. Let's just make this not another Watergate. Okay, But we are still watching the way things are. But it seems as if he himself has something he's hiding. Thank you. That's Donald Trump. Thank you.
Great contribution. Mr. Wansi.
All right, Mr. Tochiko Raphael, thank you for having me once again. That's Jeffrey Epstein file saga is more deeper than people think to imagine. Brett Emu has brought the idea of control of the deep state in the United States of America. Because I listened to some American social commentators, and they talk about the control behind the scene. Trump was a vocal critic of the deep state before he became the president of the United States of America, and the control of the deep state. The big question that the Americans are asking now is, who is controlling the government of the United States? Because United States of America have they have stand in previous days against even their own ideals. United States of America stands for democracy, stands for equality, stands for a lot of things in the world that they themselves are now violating. And they think that's the influence of the deep state. And the deep state use one key factor to control the United States. That's blackmail. And recently, Elon Musk has come up to say that Donald Trump, his name is one of the name in Jeffrey Epstein file. So definitely they can use that name against him, manipulate him or control him. And Jeffrey Epstein was a blackmailer. That's one side of the story. The second side of the story is that Jeffrey Epstein case might be that there are a lot of influential figures that attacking them will come with a price to Donald Trump. You know, the game of power is kind of a very tricky game. Jeffrey Epstein has a lot of names that include celebrities, political figures, religious figures, and a lot of people in his list. And definitely these people might call Donald Trump and tell him that, no, don't bring out this list because our name is bad. And if he happens to know them, because I don't think because just Donald Trump was a friend of Epstein, that's made him to part of his own criminal affairs. Because you might be a friend to someone who don't even know what he's doing. But the question is that why someone who vow to bring out the Epstein file and even question the US administration before he became president, now is trying to hide the file. Is it about control? Because clearly there are some players behind the scene that are controlling US administration, or worse, about his own reputation. If he happened to be part of that list and is trying to cover it up for his own reputation. Thank you. I think that's my contribution.
Thank you, Mr. Ibrahim. With this, we draw the curtain here. We thank all our guests and our viewers for your time and brilliant insights. Join us again tomorrow to break down stories that matter. Subscribe to Diaspora Digital Media TV to get incisive commentaries on stories in Nigeria and abroad. I am Tochiko Raphael with Ibrahim Omar Wasi, my co-host. See you next time on Media Morning Show. Bye-bye.